I turned 30 in 2022, and almost right after that went on the trip of a lifetime to Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. What started out as plans for a 2-week trip became a 2-month trip. I learned so much about myself along the way. I met amazing people and saw amazing sights and places I'd never been. Welcome to the 30-Year Trail. I turned 30 in 2022, and that weekend went to my brother's wedding in Michigan. After that, I was sworn in as an attorney. I would leave the next day. I packed up my bags after the swearing-in ceremony and prepared to fly out to Australia and New Zealand. I didn't have plans for Japan until later. Australia, New Zealand, let's do this. There we go. Bags, everything's ready. I'm 30 and I'm an attorney. Just sworn in, just had my birthday. Live, laugh, love lifestyle. Live, laugh, love lifestyle. And I'm going on the vacation of a life. There we go. Let's do it. Living out of this for a month. Flying to Australia was the longest flight of my life. I remember part of the way through the flight, I thought, this is an incredibly long flight. Well, then I looked at the map, and I realized I was only halfway. Alright, I'm shocked seeing this thing. This might be like a common pigeon here, but it's like kind of incredible look. I'd find out from one of my Australian friends that this majestic bird I was admiring is called a bin chicken. Damn, that's a bird. And they are considered pests who go into trash. But for me, this was an amazing encounter with a brand new world. It might as well have been their national bird. I consider the spirit of the bin chicken to be representative of the spirit of the people of Australia. But of course, the continent has other animals. Oh my god, this is actually really cool.
Yeah, you're lucky.
I'm at the Sky Safari at the Sydney Zoo, and this is like awesome. This zoo is great. I just saw a koala, which was like honestly one of the best experiences of my life, as short as the encounter was. The koala was like slowly waking up, started crawling towards me, and I was like, oh my god, she was like putting on a little bit of a show, Miss Koala was. So it was like it was just very heartwarming, a very warm creature, and one of the nice ones, because they're not always nice, but she was. So the name was Stormy, and yeah, exiting the zoo. I'm on day 3 of being in Australia, and normally when I walk around places, I just always keep my headphones in, listen to music. But I've loved here just walking and listening, just like hearing everyone's like voices and accents. It's just so fun to be in a country where everyone has an Australian accent. Like I've been to the UK before, which is its own thing, but you know, everyone's speaking the same accent, but like it is quite something else to have the Australian accent everywhere, which I've never had that sort of experience in my life. Just met people like one-on-one who are Australian, not like this. So yeah, it's amazing. In Sydney Harbor, wow, it's actually one of the most incredible things I've ever seen as far as sailing goes, because not a lot of harbors actually have good sailing. Like they can, for these major ocean ports, can be actually pretty brutal in terms of waves. And I'm seeing a lot of boats here, and they don't have to be like tall ships to handle it either. Like it looks like strong winds, but without a sort of intensity like when I was sailing in San Francisco, perhaps. Gosh, and just that view of Sydney, it's so iconic. I won't tire of it. I really won't. It's incredible. So this is being an incredible vacation. Right, here I'm reaching the bottom. So I'm gonna go. One of my favorite things in Sydney was the Sydney Aquarium. I remember going through a tunnel where stingray flew above me, or at least that's how it felt. A group of them continued to go by, and I swear they were making eye contact at me. As I looked at them, I thought, they're like my little friends in the sea. Journal entry, Monday, September 19th, 2022. I went scuba diving in the Great Barrier Reef, and I just remember walking out of the water on the second dive and thinking, this has been one of the best days of my life. My mind was at pure peace, like I had zero worry about anything. I didn't even feel like checking my phone from 8 a.m. until 4 p.m. Yeah, I've done that before, but this was I didn't even want to. Wait. It's more like I didn't even know checking my phone was part of my life. I just lingered with the fish, swam with the fish. And even the intensity of having to focus on everything for scuba diving totally took my mind off of anything else. It was pure focus. First, there is terror. You think about the training, you think about the bends. Make sure you plug your nose so the water pressure doesn't make your lungs explode or whatever. Well, then you're so deep that when a little water gets in your mask or you don't find the amount of spit in your air regulator to your liking, you have no choice but to just put up with it and move forward. And that is life. Driving on the left side of the road. There we go. Tasmania, or Tassie as Australians call it, is an island state to the south of the mainland. It's about the size of West Virginia. I went to Cradle Mountain while I was there, and the wildlife amazed me. Marsupials such as the wallaby, wombat, and the Tasmanian devil were incredible to watch. They were so foreign and so different to anything I had ever seen in the wild, yet somehow familiar. Wild wombats wandered around Cradle Mountain, munching on grass. I went right up to this one and wondered what she would do. It was a wild animal after all. I held up my hands to let her know I meant no harm and awaited her judgment. Fortunately, she just wanted to keep eating. Journal entry, Sunday, September 25th, 2022. Yesterday was one of the most thrilling and dangerous days of my life. It felt really good. When you solo travel, sometimes you make decisions on the fly, and you want to have faith that those decisions will work. It was 3 o'clock when I arrived at the base of the Cradle Mountain Summit Trail, and a sign said it was a 2.5-hour hike. I decided that I would sprint up the mountain. It was beautiful. There was only one problem. No one else was on the trail when I was there. The clouds began swirling around me with snow as the weather descended rapidly. The trail transformed into full-on bouldering and rock climbing. Some of the boulders were 3 times my height. I started to see frost on the rocks that I was climbing. As I climbed higher, the rocks had more black ice. Then I saw deep crevices where if you fall in, you fall in. I began to think of 127 hours and called my parents and my brother.
I tried to be prepared. I took precautions. Even so, it was such a dangerous experience. Yet, it made me feel so alive.
Alright, I just got past one of the most difficult things I've ever climbed in my life. That was the most difficult thing. This thing right here, and I just fucking did it. I just did it, okay? So I'm allowed to sweat. I'm allowed to be so relieved. Because that was so fucking hard and steep. It's like 15 feet. It was like a 15-foot climb. I did it on the way up, and I didn't even realize until now just how hard that was. And here I am on the way down.
Did I make the right choice that day? Considering I'm still here, I think so. Next, I went to Melbourne for a day, which was a shame because it actually may have been one of my favorite cities of the trip. Unfortunately, upon reviewing it when I was making this video, I realized I took almost no video of the city. So here's just some photos. The one video I did take was on a subway ride, where I was approaching a subway station called Batman. I found this really interesting. And then this.
I don't know where this music is coming from. It's not from anybody. It's just like in the air. It's in the air. I can hear it.
This was at the Sydney airport. I don't know why it's included here, except for the fact that it is one of the greatest scientific achievements I have ever witnessed. But then I was on to the next country. This, then, is from a Maori cultural village demonstration. This is them greeting our chieftain, King Jeff, who they selected as our king for the day. Maori culture is everywhere in New Zealand. Signs are in English and in Maori. And then there's the haka, which is a ceremonial war dance, which is meant to awaken every muscle and cell of the body.
These are the pancake rocks, and they are actually pretty incredible. I don't know how to say it. There's just a bunch of rocks that are have these pancake formations.
One of the defining aspects of the 30-year trail was that it was a solo trip. Near the beginning, it was actually pretty refreshing to be able to be free in a new country. But eventually, that began to wear down. And that just began to hit me when I was in New Zealand. So I'm in the car the whole time, alone. Everyone I know is on the other side of the planet, asleep. I'm not getting out of my car and talking to people. I'm just listening to podcasts.
I think I've just arrived in the most incredible possible Airbnb I've ever been in. It is actually just stunning how good it is. And I don't even need to do anything else today. It's just so amazing. And I'm gonna stand in the pulpit right now. I'm gonna do my normal reading, but say it out loud. Why? Because I have a pulpit to do it. I'm Catholic. For my brothers in Christ out there. Oh my God. This is incredible. This thing that looks like a Himalayan salt lamp thing made into a whole like lamp, an entire lamp. Himalayan mini salt lamp thing. Oh my God, there it is. There it is.
I was alone. And on top of that, I took a solitude retreat for part of the time that I was in New Zealand. This meant I didn't talk to a single soul. I didn't check the news that was going on in the world. I didn't check my phone for any texts or emails. Nothing. I just wanted to write and reflect and think about what it meant to be 30. And that's what was going on when I was approaching Mount Cook. Journal entry, Tuesday, October 11th, 2022. Today had a moment of awakening. Mount Cook was one of the greatest sights I have ever seen. The jagged, perfect triangular edge and the blue ice glimmer of the peak overwhelmed me. It was magnificence. And later that night, I just booked a 2-week trip to Japan. Whatever it is I'm finding out, I need to find it out even more. Journal entry, Wednesday, October 12th, 2022. A month ago, I was sworn in as an attorney, and the next day I flew out to Australia. The first month as an attorney has been pretty awesome.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
So at a certain point in New Zealand, it had gotten really lonely. Now, that was kind of built into the trip. That's why I took a solitude retreat. I wanted some time to think. I wanted to think about the future. I wanted to think about what it meant to be 30. And even though that was the case, it felt a little tough at points. But that changed as I kept seeing parts of the country. And as I saw that Kia bird, I just couldn't help but laugh and think I wasn't alone. However, sometimes alone is better. The next part of my trip still gives me the chills every time I think about it. I was on the long drive north up to Auckland and had plans to stay in a rural Airbnb a couple miles outside of the town of Kaikoura. It was around midnight when I got close. Out of nowhere, a hitchhiker appeared out of the darkness. He was far away from any highways and in the middle of nowhere. Before I could realize what was happening, the hitchhiker lunged at my car with his arms. I narrowly escaped the hitchhiker and quickly turned onto the road where my next Airbnb was. In my rearview mirror, I saw him turn around, and I think he was following my car. And my car is the brightest light in the area, meaning he can track exactly where I'm going. Still, I turn onto the one-way dead-end road, realizing he might block the only exit. I get to the spot on the map where the Airbnb was listed, but there's nothing except a small dirt path. I can't ask the Airbnb owners for help. It's late, and the place is a self-check-in Airbnb that they don't live at. I drive to the end of the path, only to realize that there's just an empty field with no home in sight. There is no Airbnb at this address. Because I can't turn around, I have to slowly back up my car in the dark, anticipating at any moment that the hitchhiker is going to pop up in my backup camera. I back up, and I'm able to escape from the path. I drive back on the one-way road towards the ocean. I drove back to the road, with a sick feeling in my stomach. Here's what horrified me. I just knew that the hitchhiker was going to be there. There was no way I was going to be getting out of there without first confronting the horror that people can be exactly who you think they are. I finally confronted the horrific truth. There was a hitchhiker, waiting at the end of the road. He just stood there, with dead eyes and zero emotion. Shivers crawled down my spine, not just because it was dark, not just because I was alone, but because that night, I learned what it was like to be hunted. That being said, the rest of New Zealand was pretty awesome. I saw beautiful sights, going to Wellington and seeing the nice little train car. I was also taking a break from road tripping. I was able to get out and talk to people. I just finished New Zealand on a really positive note. So I'm just finishing up my trip to New Zealand. This is the Auckland Museum. It's a war museum, Maori culture, and it's been a great visit. I'm gonna miss this country, and mainly have been like in the outdoors, and then just the past couple days doing the city tour. I love both. I love this country. I'm gonna miss it. So you gotta make your way here. Journal entry, Wednesday, October 19th, 2022. I'm going deeper into this trip. It is a leap beyond a step. I don't know what the root cause of this trip is anymore. The question, the thread, whatever that means, whatever that was, those are gone. It was just wanting to get lost, and then now I'm doubling down on it. If I ended up in a hut in the Himalayas programming, that could be along the natural progression. Just as it would be along the natural progression if I work in a skyscraper in Manhattan and love my job and don't work any other gig. This isn't a soul-searching trip. There isn't a search. It is a series of sights, sounds, tastes, and thoughts. It is immersion. Not even immersion to something I know how to describe, but immersion into a wild of experiences. There is no question. There is no search. There are only answers. I write this all because one day it'll be interesting to know.
So like, this is awesome. Tokyo has been awesome. And it's a total immersion into a totally different country. It's like just such a wild thing to be in a place where, first off, the culture is so beautifully here. The temples here, all these like Buddhist temples, the shrines. It's incredible to see a different culture. I didn't even really know about it. I mean, and you're just wowed by the experience. So I'm having an incredible time just being treated with unfamiliar foods, unfamiliar languages, just unfamiliar sights, and a familiar presence of joy. So it's awesome. creating a quick video now to document most unfortunate loss. Tent, sleeping bag, they have to go. Unfortunately, the space from it has just broken my backpack and it's breaking my back. And while I would love to hold on to it and camp in America and say I was in Australia, I was in New Zealand, I camped in this thing all over the world, unfortunately, just the physical object has overextended its stay. But even though it's gone, it doesn't mean that there cannot be the memory of that camping. And so it's with that I think it was a thing, a means to an end of enjoying the outdoors. And unfortunately, while it has passed its time, there's still more time for outdoor adventures and stuff in the future. And I don't need that specific object to do it. It's a regrettable loss. It really took me far on this trip. But I have to say goodbye to it.
Japan was a breath of fresh air. After a lot of the trip being in solitude, I was making friends left and right in Japan.
Green tea.
This group gave me one of the greatest compliments of my life. They asked, "Are you an actor? You are an extremely handsome man. Your face is perfect. It's so small. You have a really small face." And then there was Shoko and Haruki, two Japanese grandmothers that basically adopted me at the Fushimi Inari Shrine. We go as three, they told me. They took me around, taught me how to pray at shrines, and Shoko even bought me a refrigerator magnet.
So I'm eating this, and it's delicious. And you just eat it. Oh, I just ate the head. And it was actually really good.
I cannot speak of Japan without talking about the food, which was the best of any of the countries I've traveled to ever in my life, and the best food anywhere, of any place I've ever lived, ever. There's amazing meals, but then there's also just really interesting convenience store snacks, random foods, and you just try it all. A lot of times, you really don't know what you're eating though, and it can be hit or miss.
I am at the Shiki Market, and this is candied octopus with an egg in it, I think. Alright, I'm gonna just try it. Yep, that's exactly what it is. I don't know how to say this respectfully, but the candied octopus with quail egg was so not good to my palate that it has single-handedly zapped Will from like travel, from like, I don't know, doing more stuff, at least for a little bit. Like I'm actually staying next to the market, and I like walked back to my like hotel, and I was like, that was a lot. Like it just emotionally wore me down with how unpalatable it was.
Sometimes you just don't know what to order. And so I'd use Google Translate, and I saw a familiar word. Stingray fin. Hey, I know what stingrays are. So I ordered it. And I have to say it tasted really delicious. Probably one of the best meals of the trip. But I realized, midway through the meal, with horror, what I had done. My friend, the stingray.
What have I done?
Monday, October 31st, 2022. It's Life Day, so I want to quickly scribble something down. 8 years ago, I survived being a passenger in a rollover car accident on the way to a campaign event. Today, I was so happy to be alive. I laughed and cried at once biking around Lake Yamanaka at the base of Mount Fuji. It's a great day to be alive. Then I also thought, every day of this trip has been Life Day. Further, every day, regardless of where we are, is Life Day. Earlier, I wrote, this isn't a soul-searching trip. There isn't a search. It is a series of sights, sounds, tastes, and thoughts. It is immersion. Not even immersion to something I know how to describe, but an immersion into a wild of experiences. There is no question. There is no search. There are only answers. So, what is the answer? What is the meaning of life? It is a cloud passing over Mount Fuji. It is a fish 1 foot away from me, biting right into a rock. It's a meal of fish and chips along the New Zealand coast. It's seeing a monkey with little fingers just like ours. It's biting into something without knowing what it is. It's saying hi to a group of strangers and walking away with new friends. The answers are all around us. We just have to open our hearts to see that they are there, right in front of our eyes. You don't have to go anywhere extraordinary to experience extraordinary. Experience what your senses are showing you, instead of grasping onto the pains of the past. Every day alive is a miracle. And that is life.